Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and participants from around the city and state, a warm welcome to the online webinar Know Your Market and How to Estimate Your Target Market Size, hosted by Sagar Smart City Limited Spark Incubation Center. I am Akhilendra, your host for this insightful session, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you all here today. In today's fast paced and dynamic business environment, understanding your market is paramount to success. The ability to estimate your target market size can make difference between thriving and merely surviving in your industry. To shed light on this critical topic, we are honored to have with us a distinguished speaker who brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. Our esteemed speaker for today's webinar is none other than Mr. Ashok Pammidi, the former CEO of NASSCOM Foundation. Mr. Ashok has a remarkable track record in the world of business and technology, and we are fortunate to have him share his insights with us today. Without further ado, I invite Mr. Ashok Pammidi to make the virtual stage and share his expertise with us. Please join me in giving him a very warm welcome. Sir, very warm welcome from Spark Incubation Center, and now stage is over to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you and namaskar and good afternoon to all of you. It's indeed an honor and pleasure to share with you on the concept of target market size. I'm Ashok. I'm based out of Bangalore, and I've been supporting a lot of startups in the area of sustainability as well as in the area of deep tech in the last couple of years. So, what I intend to do is give you some practical examples of some of these challenges जो हम लोग you know I would say we go through it regularly, right? India is a growing market size is becoming bigger and bigger, so it's going to become even more difficult for us to see how exactly are we doing our market size. So without much ado, I would like to start off my presentation. Can we move to the next slide, sir? So the question which comes to us is हमको क्यों ये मार्केट साइजिंग करना है? Why should we do that? Why is it important for us to do this, right? And then after that, once we do that, वो जो terms है, because why are these terms important? Terms are important because our VCs they do assess you based on the market size. How much is the potential you have? Okay, they want to know the market size. Number one. Number two, you will also be able to understand what are the challenges are there in that market size. Kitna bada hai? It's only big size or there's enough potential for you. You need to know. And the third thing which is there is how many people can you employ? What type of people you require to employ? So you require to know also the demographics and other aspects for it. Be it B2B or B2C. That is, आप directly enterprises को बेच सकते हैं या if you are only going directly to consumer, वो भी market size is very very important. So I'll just give you some idea about how to calculate market size with my own examples and what we did, and also how to leverage your once you have market size किया है, then how do you basically look at leveraging the market size? कितना बड़ा है? How do you leverage it? So these are some of the concepts which I'll try to explain in the next couple of minutes. Can we move to the next slide, sir? So the question is, what is the process of looking at market size? Okay, and looking at why is it basically required for doing that particular market size. Market size is nothing but looking at your customer base. Okay, looking at your potential customer base. Okay, how many people are likely to buy your products or services, the potential revenue which you can generate, and also the population size. Again, as I mentioned to you, it's immaterial whether it's a B2B or a B2C. What is very important is we require to know how many potential customers are existing as on date or in the future, and also looking at what kind of products or services I can offer to them. So sizing is basically a necessity. It's mandated for any startup, whether you're bootstrapped or whether you are having already a Series A funding, or even if you are taking any loans, it's extremely important for you to really do a market size. Can we move to the next slide, sir? So the next
Sorry to
aspect is
interrupt you, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry to. I have a question. Without moving, before moving to next size, that many startups, as you said, that market size is very important for every startups. But what the startups face challenge at their early stage, they don't know how to collect the data of this their potential markets or the potential customers. So can you tell our startups or entrepreneurs that from where they can collect these data, or any kind of tool that will be helpful for calculating this market size?
excellent question, sir. And this is what I will be doing in the next couple of slides. I will help you in telling you where exactly you can go about, how to go about it, right? I will tell you those aspects also, be it B2B as well as B2C. I'll give you two examples, two or three examples. Well, will that be fine? I'll give you example of what a startup has done currently in the next couple of slides. Okay. So,
Oh,
but having said that, let me just basically, give you an idea, right? Why is it market size and all? Then once you appreciate it, I will also help you in trying to calculate. If you are an early stage, ideation stage startup, you will get to know, get an idea as to how to go about doing a market sizing. But having said that, why it is important for you, it is mandated, as I said, it is mandatory. Reason is you will understand it. Basically you will be able to take a decisions faster. You'll know exactly what are the kind of challenges you are going to think, what are the kind of risks you are going to take, right? And it also helps you to understand profitability. What is very important is you have to, today or tomorrow, you have to start making profit, right? Be it a social entrepreneur or making a profit making enterprise, right? It's important for you to basically break even and start making profit. So this will also give you an idea, if the market size is this, what will happen in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, right? And when are you going to break even? Believe it or not, your VC funding people ask you these questions. They'll ask you what's the market size, when are you when are you likely to break even, and when are you likely to make profits, okay? Or you're simply burning. All these questions will come because it's just a valuation game some people play. Then they want to know if it's valuation. But I sincerely believe that whatever business we are in, it has become sustainable, right? And that is most important for us to ensure that you are making it business sustainable. Maybe after 18 months, maybe after 24 months, okay? It doesn't really matter. Maybe even 3 years. But you need to know when are you going to make profits and what is the kind of growth you are going to do. So because of that, market sizing is important. So can we move to the next slide, sir? Now, these are very interesting things. Like, sir, you asked this question. How do I know? How to calculate? Now, this is one example of a B2C. The B2C is directly आप consumers को भेज रहे हैं. Let's assume that आप e-commerce में हैं. Can I go back to the slides? Let's assume that you are in an e-commerce business. ठीक है? Or you are making some products for high net worth individuals. ठीक है? Now you know that in India, population is about 1.44 billion, right? Now you know this data is available, right? Government of India is publishing, or you can get this data directly from companies like Airtel or Reliance or McKinsey or NASSCOM or CI or Fiki, right? Or other companies, the big four like PwC, Deloitte, all of them publish this data, which is very, very easily available data for you in terms of what's the penetration rate of internet users in India, how many smartphone users are there. Not only this, it will go into the geographies. It will tell you how many are in the big metros, how many are in tier two, how many are in villages. Now, if you look at the data, it's very interesting data. We are growing one of the fastest growing economy in the world, right? Prime Minister ने बताया like by 2047 will be a economy which will be a matured economy, right? Today's paper, if you read, that's what it talks about. What it talks about, it's that from earlier, the entire focus was on the large cities like Bengaluru, Chennai, Pune, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Okay? Sub business was going there, but now slowly you're finding tier two like Bhopal, like Indore, like Vishakhapatnam, Chandigarh, they're all growing. And then they're going further. They're going into Shimoga, they're going into, the small towns, Tirunelveli, right? It's going into all those Siliguri. All those cities are going to grow. And next aspect, very interesting, you're finding that the poverty has got decreased. The number of people who are lying in the, below the poverty line are actually decreasing, and the middle, what I can call the middle class population is increasing, and the high net worth individual also is increasing from 5 to 10% is increasing, decreasing of poverty, middle class is growing like anything. Now, what does it mean? If you are playing in the B2C activity, your business to consumers, it could be, for example, in retail, it could be in food, or it could be in products which you are directly selling to consumers, right, through a dealer network or directly. All these are great news for you. Now, this data is available. Basic data is available, right? Where you know what's the target population in terms of internet users, number of smartphone users, and which cities they're growing. You need to go into details about the city, because you can't say that India is so big, I'll grow everywhere. It's not possible. You might like to say, I'll play in Madhya Pradesh, or you might play in Chhattisgarh. I'm just giving you an idea about it. Based on that, right, you need to know, get into further details. How many are people who are high net worth? How many middle class people are there? How many people are, somewhere during the poverty line? Based on that, you will get an idea about your addressable market as far as B2C is concerned. So much of market. Now, when you talk about addressable market, we're talking about total number of buyers into the average selling price. Okay? Average selling price. For example, if you're dealing with smartphone, okay, smartphone phone could be about 15,000 to 20,000. 20,000 into, let's assume, I'm just giving you a picture, okay, 1,000. Okay, I'm just giving you, it could be some city. So that will give you an idea that is the addressable market in that city. Okay, it could be a tier 3 city. That is the addressable market over there. Okay, so that is the concept of an addressable market. I will explain to you the other concept later on, but just to give you an idea, since I gave you an idea about B2C, now let me also explain to you about B2B. Now, B2B is much easier than a B2C also. Reason is, now let's look at B2B. And you might say that as a startup, my focus area is MSME, that is micro, small, and medium enterprises. Okay, I want to sell my software, enterprise software, into the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Now the question is, sir, आपने बोला हमको किधर मिलेगा ये सब data, right? Now, one thing is there that government of India has done amazing work as far as data collation is concerned. If you go to any MSME department, right, it could be Madhya Pradesh or it could be government of India, they have this MSME data which is spread in clusters. Okay, जो clusters हैं, वो number of clusters, like you can have a tea plantation cluster in northeast. You can have the auto ancillary in, for example, in Indore. Okay, you have an auto ancillary belt in Indore, or you have textile ones in areas like in Salem and in Coimbatore. You have this textile industries, right? There are a number of these micro verticals or clusters of MSME spread across. For example, in Bangalore, you have this Bomanhalli industrial town, you have the Pina industrial town, where they are the small and micro enterprises which are actually supplying directly to large enterprises as suppliers. Okay. Now you have the data with you. That is very easily available. Now, once you have the data, then what you do is you will say, okay, in this, I will only now look at Madhya Pradesh, and I have identified, clusters like maybe in Indore, ek hai, maybe in the area of Gwalior, ek hai, right? Maybe some areas in Bhopal, which are the clusters you are looking at. And then you will say, okay, there are 15, 20 clusters in Madhya Pradesh, okay? And usme so many numbers. Let's assume, I'm just giving you a picture, okay? There could be some 5,000 MSME. I'm just giving you a picture, okay? It could be even 10,000, 20,000, it doesn't matter. Then what you do is you put that my software, enterprise software for MSME, I will be in a position to sell at an average price of 10,000 rupees. Okay, so 10,000 into 5,000, okay, will be your overall addressable market in INR for you in the state of Madhya Pradesh, since you are focusing on Madhya Pradesh. Now you want to do it in all over India, you need to do it, because today you can't say that, I will only be in Madhya Pradesh. You want to go all over India, then you can do that. You have clusters across the country. understand which clusters you are looking at, and put across, you will be able to get a total addressable market for you in India. So those are the ways you can look at either a B2B or B2C markets in India. Can you move to the next slide, sir? Now here is the data. This is done by Aspire Circle for one particular product called for the sustainability products. Now sustainability products basically or services, revenue is growing from 2010 to 2030 expected to be 31.2 billion. Now, as a startup, you might say that, look, I'm only in software and technology. I'm not in other areas like consulting. I'm not in education, right? वो सब है ना, right? If you look at it, you have in any activity, you will have training, you will have consulting, you will have only for standards and collations, and you have database, indices, ratings, right? Like Bloomberg ratings, right? They're all rating. So here they have sliced it and come out with some idea about the kind of revenue one is expected. Let's say only in software and technology, for example, I'm telling it's about 5.63 billion. Okay, out of the total revenue of 31.2 billion, if you're focusing only on software and technology, you can get about 5.63 billion by 2030. That some data is already available. Okay, because this data is already there, you will think, and it's very important as a startup. If you are able to get data, nothing like it, but you should have some basic data, and that data has to be basically endorsed by agencies which do this activity. Which I said, you can take the government data, or you take from any of the big four, or research entities, like it could be a Bloomberg, it's a rating agency, they also give, Standard and Poor give, CRISIL gives that data, right? Especially if you are in B2B data, you'll have all the companies' data. So you should look at all these aspects so that you are authenticating your data, looking at it, and then planning out your total addressable market. So can we move to the next slide, sir? Okay. Now, I use only one term called as total addressable market, right? There are other aspects because, okay, total addressable market is what? If you want to get it, you'll get 100%, correct? I gave an example, मैंने बताया ना, मध्य प्रदेश में. It's not possible for you to say that I will look at all the, MSME segments. It's impossible. Or all the high net worth individuals, I can look at it. It's impossible, correct? All the people will not buy from you. But theoretically, if you were to capture the entire market, it's 100% market share, right? That means to say that you have total addressable market as 100%. It's impossible. It's impossible for any company to get 100% market share. But having said that, you're then looking at a percentage. Maybe you look at 10%, 20%, and all those things, and looking at a competition too. It's very important for you to understand who are your competitors in case there is a competitor. Otherwise, you want to create a market. Then how do you want to create a market? Creating a market is much more challenging than already having competition, because competition is actually opening out markets. So keep that in mind. If you're creating a market, you're coming out with a solutions or a services which is new, and you have to create a market. But you're already having competition. That means to say market is there, and you're actually basically doing some expansion, and you're taking some share of that market. Okay, so keep that in mind. But having said that, जो हमको चाहिए वो what is serviceable addressable market, we call it SAM. Now what happens in the TAM, you will have only some portion of it where you service. Example could be, let me give you an example. First, let me take B2B. Okay, in B2B, I already said let's look at MSME. Okay, MSME stands for what? Micro, small, and medium enterprises, right? Micro, small, and medium enterprises, as per defined by Government of India, right? 500 crores and below, right? They have done that beautifully, right? There's a department. Every state has got a fantastic MSME department where they support you with loans and various other things which they do, training, right? They do a lot of work around that area. Now, your target could be that I will say that I am only in medium enterprises. Why? Because you may say that, look, मेरा software जो है वो medium enterprises में in MSME medium enterprises में जाएगा, right? वो micro and small में नहीं जा सकता है because वो small है, बहुत small है. Okay, they are 10 users. Okay, they are small users, right? They may have only 10 employees, 5 employees. वो product नहीं है. वो जरा I require somebody who is having maybe 50 employees. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So your serviceable market in MSME will become slightly narrower, right? It generally happens, right? You are only looking at a medium in the MSME. This is one example which I wanted to share with you. Okay. Next part is SOM. SOM. It stands for Serviceable Obtainable Market. Okay. That basically looking at your marketing, your sales strategies, your competitive positioning, and product demand. You will say that my SOM is only so much. For example, let me tell you an example. I'll take the same MSME example. Okay. You are telling that I am an MSME software player, okay, out of which I'll only play in medium. Very good. Then you will come back and say that, look, I have a piece of software, वो enterprise management software है, like ERP जो है, हमारे पास ERP मैंने खुद बनाया है, and it fits in very well for that particular thing. ठीक है? So then what happens is, you are telling that yours is an ERP product for medium enterprises for a particular set of customers which you have above 50 users. Okay. So now you are basically coming down narrower, right? Because you are telling that it has to be 50 users and it's an ERP. Then I'll ask next question. If it's in ERP, whether it's manufacturing here, yeah, it's an FMCG, a bank, what is that? So then you will say, no, 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 I can't. That's banking is different, sir. Though I agree with you, in medium enterprises you can have cooperative banks, but isme I have for manufacturing. That means say you are ruling out retail, you are ruling out hotel industry, you are ruling out hospital industry, you are only getting into manufacturing, right? So in manufacturing also I'll ask next question. Can you do process? Can I manage cement industry? Can I manage chemical industry? Or is only discrete like auto industry? Then the person will say, no sir, I can do for both. But my first focus is discrete manufacturing. The parts banate hain, 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, I can do it. Process like cement and thing, we can also do it, but we will do it at a later date, but ready hai. So you can now imagine that your SOM will become much smaller than what the TAM is. First the TAM, then the SAM, and the SOM will become much smaller. The next slide will clearly explain to you on a graph as to what I am talking about. Can you go to the next slide, sir? Okay, so you can clearly understand from this thing. That is the SOM is also called as target market for startup, who will be the most likely buyers. Okay, in this case, I give you a nice example of a B2B player who only looks at enterprise software. And let me share with you, I had this example of it. We were looking at medium, small, and medium enterprises coming out with an ERP product. And then we worked with all the government departments and all, and we found out that MSME data is available. Then we said, okay, we look at all this. We were very thrilled. We locked so many micro verticals. We called it verticals, right? Means auto industry, tea plantation, look at gems and jewelry, look at textile manufacturing. So many micro verticals are there. Then we realized that our product can do very well in certain areas like discrete and manufacturing. They can do well. It can also do well in cooperative banks. Okay. So then we said, okay, our target market size will become narrower. Why? Because we couldn't go to Northeast area because there was not enough people. We didn't have people, nor did we have partners to go into Northeast area currently. Okay. At that particular point in time. But we were strong in South, we were strong in West. So we said we look at gems and jewelry, we look at cooperative bank, and we look at manufacturing. Okay. Auto industries and various other manufacturing. So target market becomes smaller. Okay. Available market is big. And the serviceable market, then we looked at it and said, okay, these are all the areas we can service, but we cannot service certain areas we couldn't service, okay, because we didn't have solutions for a particular micro vertical, okay. So that is what is important from the TAM, SAM, and target market or SOM. Now, let me give you an example. हम अभी B2C बात करेंगे, sir. ठीक है? This is an example of B2B, and I trust I was quite clear in my explanation. जो serviceable market है from the B2C, right? It becomes even more complicated. And I'll give you an example of a hotel where I supported one of the companies for putting up a hotel in Koramangala in Bangalore. Now, Koramangala is a very upcountry location in Bangalore where the population is generally on the high net worth individuals are there and people are able to spend a lot of money. So how did we do the TAM? That's a question, right? Very important. You are doing into hotel industry. Number one, we found out what's the population of Bangalore. Then we found out what is the likely population in Koramangala. Now it's very easy because there are wards, right? The city has got municipal wards, right? Indore wards, Bhopal wards, right? You'll have wards. So we are able to get the data. Kitna log hai in area of Koramangala, in and around Koramangala. Okay. Next, we found out how many restaurants are there in Koramangala. Example. So we had a data. Okay. Then based on that, what type of restaurants are there? Okay. What are the people eating? Okay. Now in Koramangala is a population which is a cosmopolitan population. It's just not only South Indians. You had North Indians, and we had people from Northeast. We had Bengalis. We had everybody. Then based on that, we found, believe it or not, that there's a big market for dim sums. That is momos, right? We found that there is only the street hawkers were selling momos, but they were not selling in hotels. They were not selling it in hotels. So if you wanted to eat momo, you had to go and buy it on the streets. Hotels में नहीं था. Okay, hotels were typically multi cuisines, but they didn't have. So this particular, company, they opened a restaurant only for serving various types of dim sums available all over the world. Okay, and they found that there's a big market there because Koramangala is one where they can pay money. Customers can pay money. So that is what it is. So the target market over there became very, very small thing for us in terms of looking at the particular area of looking at Koramangala, because the Koramangala was considered to be a great place and a prime location. So they bought a particular place and set up a hotel there, which is doing extremely well in serving dim sums. Okay, so this is how this entire activity happens, right? So we go to the next slide, sir. Okay, so Megha Upadhyaya is asking this question: can you explain the difference between a target market and a target audience? Okay, now this is actually target market and target audience is one and the same. Okay, the difference is basically when you're looking at it. When I look at it from like who will be the mostly, as the name says, the target markets will be the most likely buyers. Okay, from that particular thing. Okay, now let me give you an example. One more example where we did this activity of TAM and SAM and SOM for city-wise data. So my job was basically a company wanted me to say that you should go into 55 locations in the country. Okay, 55 locations in the country. So the TAM had to be done for all 55 locations in the country and not only for, let's say, all over India. So all over India data was there. We were able to do it. Now we had to get into details about getting into cities, each and every city, like Raipur, like Indore, like Chandigarh. Okay, so that was the plan of that particular thing because we wanted to go into city wise. So that activity was done based on the population, based on the number of companies present there, right? That is available very easily. So you can easily get it. You can go the top 1,000, top 2,000 firms in Economic Times or in, as I said, CRISIL or Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange. You can get to know where exactly are these companies present. Number one, large corporations available. Next is MSME clusters available, right? So you are able to do that and clearly map and say, this is the city-wise TAM, total addressable market for that particular company. Okay, city-wise. You are able to do all 55 cities, you are able to do. Okay. Next, what happens is, then you say, okay, can I go into attacking all the people? Answer is no, because you are very clear that you can only serve a particular segment of the population over there, right? So you may say that I know I'm not servicing hospitals, I'm not servicing hotels, examples, right? So those were all removed off, okay? And you're not servicing education institution, that also removed off. Now, so you are only left with some corporates and medium enterprises in this case. So you knew exactly what is your serviceable market. So you did that activity, clearly understood city-wise what is the data. Now, however, then comes the target market. Who is your target market in you, right? Because you have to be very clear what's the strength, right? What is the strength you are having? Who's your audience? Who is going to really listen to you? Who's going to buy your product? Not all. So that is where the overall aspect, because it depends on your marketing, depends on your domain knowledge. Your domain knowledge is important. Like in this case, example could be that I understand, let's say, auto industry. I understand manufacturing. I understand core banking, cooperative banks. So my target audience is this. That is my target market. I don't understand gems and jewelry. It's very complicated. Leave it off. That's not a target market because we don't understand. Or you don't understand, let's say, chemical industry. That's not your target market. You understand auto, you understand regular manufacturing, you understand banks. That's your target market. I hope whoever asked this question, I clarified this particular point to you. That is my target market. The same thing in the B2C. I have a product example could be iPad. It's in front of me. I'm just using. Okay. So iPad is there in front of me. Okay. So I know that iPad users, again, it's a wrong assumption. Please bear in mind. But it's one of the assumptions that I look at people who are earning X number of salaries and above. Okay, it's a wrong statement, but I said there's one approach I'm telling. You can also look at, because it doesn't mean to say only the rich people can buy, correct? You know that anybody can buy. But there's one assumption that you're making and say so many people are there. That data again is available. So you look at it and say so many users are there. Then based on that, you will say that okay, it's not necessarily only the rich people, right? I told you, right? iPad can be bought by anybody. Students can also buy because they're giving students concession. iPad is giving nowadays, right? So you will say, okay, this will be the some percentage. Maybe you will put about 20-25% who are below that particular category. They can also buy, maybe through loans, maybe taking bank loans, or maybe getting concession from their own colleges or schools. So they will also buy. So based on that particular thing, that's my target audience. Are you getting me? So that is how you are able to do even a B2C. Go to the next slide, sir. Okay, now this is the very important aspect is value prop or a value proposition, right? Now, if you look at it, one of the firms which I'm supporting is called as Superhuman Race. The value proposition they have is it's a data technology company. Okay, जो है वो data technology company है, ठीक है? They are not services player. Okay, they are not into services. They are data technology. They use only data. They are technology player using technology, using artificial intelligence. Now that's the value proposition. The value proposition is that they are a platform which brings in, slightly I'm using a little bit technical words. It has got data fluidity, okay, and it has got data frugality. Now, what is these things terms? Means we're taking minimum data. They are able to take minimum data from the system from various ways they are able to capture. In this case, they do carbon. They are into various areas like calculating net zero, then calculating SDG, that is sustainable development goals, and reporting as per the government of India MCA for CSR. Okay, but they're able to take the data once with little data they're able to get, and data fluidity means they can report it as per MCA guidelines or some international body they want GRI, they can report, or the new SEBI has put a rules called BRSR, they can report. So that is the data fluidity. So the value proposition they have is enter once, use many. So I use the word data fluidity. That's the value proposition of this startup, which is a Niti Aayog mentored startup called Superhuman Race. That's what they're doing. And I thought it's amazing value proposition which they're having. I'm just giving you a classic example of a company which is still bootstrapped. I'm giving you an idea. Next is market segmentation and penetration rate. Now, market segmentation, which I already told you, you've got to segment it. Okay? Because if you don't segment it, you can't go and doing, what they call it as carpet bombing. Doesn't work, right? Carpet bombing doesn't work in business. You need to know which is your segment you are attacking. Like I gave an example of opening some restaurant in Koramangala. It's a market segment they have done. Similarly, using ERP software for the medium enterprises is segmentation. In that, you will say that I only want to work in auto industries and discrete manufacturing is the segment of the market which you are looking or attacking. Okay, that is segmentation. And you've got to be very clear. You've got to segment it. You have to be very clear that you will do that segmentation. Next, penetration rate. Now, it's very important because you know clearly how exactly are you growing in your market. And this particular one is supposing if you are finding that there are 1,000 companies, okay, 1,000 target audience for you, who are your potential buyers, okay, out of which you already got 10 orders with you, 20 orders with you. That means to say that your penetration rate is pretty good. You're already capturing 10%, 20% market share in the overall market, right? That is what is the penetration rate. It's B2B or B2C. It's very important for you to know penetration rate. And believe it or not, your VCs will ask you, okay, you've got so many orders already. Tell me what is your penetration rate. They'll ask you this. So you should know clearly what is being your penetration rate. Go to the next slide, sir. Okay. So, as I told you, I think I already told you how exactly you can look at it. Basically, what is very important is you once you do the market size, which I told you, the number of users into the average selling price will give you the total addressable market. Based on that particular thing, it can be in INR or in dollars. Supposing you're looking at selling your products to, let's say, US or Europe, then it's better that you are putting it in INR. But if your product हम लोग सिर्फ इंडिया में बेच रहे हैं तो INR ही डाल दीजिए, वो डॉलर्स में नहीं चाहिए, डोंट रिक्वायर. बट सपोजिंग यू आर लुकिंग एट यूएस मार्केट, सिंगापुर मार्केट, वो सब है, देन आप डॉलर्स में डाल सकते हैं, बिकॉज दैट विल गिव यू एन आइडिया एज टू हाउ इट इज, बिकॉज द VCs might look at it. If you are selling at I will be selling in US or in Europe, right? And you're doing that activity, then you please put it in INR. Otherwise, it's good to put it in INR only, in Indian national rupees. Okay. Next is find out your market category, whether whatever your categories are. Okay. Then you don't have to do market research. Frankly speaking, I will not advocate for you to do market research because you will be spending unnecessarily money. There are enough companies doing it. For example, you can take INC42. Okay, they give you amazing data points for the startup ecosystem. Then you can also take Statistica. They give you amazing data points. Okay, some of them you can buy it at a very low cost. It's available. Then, as I told you, as far as startup ecosystem, Startup India is doing some amazing work. NASSCOM does some amazing work, right? Fiki, all these companies come out with lot of data points as far as you are concerned on market research, be it B2B or B2C. Enough data point is available for you to capture that data. Once you are able to do, that's a basic, what I call it, a baseline. It's a baseline. Once you're able to do the baseline, you have to do the slicing and dicing of that particular data, and then you do your calculate your TAM, then your SAM and your SOM. Okay. Then what you have to do is you will have to first be, supposing you are bootstrapped. Okay, mano aap bootstrapped hai. Okay. Yes, and mind you, this particular one you will have to revisit it quite often. Why? Which I mentioned in the beginning, India is a growing market. The number of MSME are increasing. The poor are decreasing, rich are becoming richer, middle class population is increasing. India is going to become a big manufacturing hub, right? Lot of activities are happening in India. So your TAM today will be nothing into 3 years' time. Please bear that in mind. So you may have to revisit it once again to see how your market is growing. Number one. Number two, very important point, sir. I thought let me share with you. The approach what you have might undergo radical changes. Example, see, when I started off that activity on the MSME, we looked at it from the purely from the on-premises model. Okay, we said that okay, there are itna bada market hai. We will go to each and every of these medium people and then put our enterprise software. Okay. Now at that time, I'm talking about a couple of years ago, SaaS was not very big thing. Like the software as a service was not big. But to our surprise, what we found is some of the MSMEs got together and said, sir, we have a proposition for you. They came back and said, instead of buying every software, is it possible for you to give us a big solution and we will partition it and use it? It is something like on-premises model, a SaaS model. So believe it or not, we put up one in Bomasandra Industrial Estate, and there were 20 of the MSMEs using the same piece of hardware and an ERP software residing there. It's still using there. So what happens? Your entire TAM has gone for a toss because our average selling price became very big, right? But your customers are increasing because they're giving you regular revenue. So it was a pseudo, SaaS model. It was not totally going into the cloud, but it's on the premises, but it was a shared premises. So just want to share with you that whole aspects will change, right? You've seen another example which I say is Uber, shared services, but shared car rather. But little did anybody realize that in India, Ola came and said that I will do sharing of the car. Means they'll pick you up, they'll go to somebody else nearby, pick him up, and then another person, 3-4 people, and then they drop you to the destination you want and drop other people on the destination, right? You don't have to take Ola once and say that from here to another drop. They can pick you up, right? Other people too. Model changed, right? So when you do the TAM and SAM, please bear in mind you will have to think out of the box. There could be an opportunity for you to do what I can call it as cross selling or upselling of your product. That's also equally important. Then you got to revisit your TAM. It will become bigger than what it is currently. So I'm just giving an example what I personally faced when I did this MSME activity. What we suddenly found, suddenly the market is growing. And one of the startup which I'm doing, unfortunately I can't share. We are now finding that apart from three solutions, we have now got a fourth solution because we suddenly found that वो भी market है, because they are willing to look at that. So you got my point. So the whole approach has changed. So that is why, so the TAM is becoming bigger for us. The SAM is becoming, and the SOM also is increasing for us. So just to give you an idea about how this can do. Go to the next slide, sir. So basically, this is just to give you an idea as what I call it as a customer life cycle, planning. Basically, what the whole idea is, uh, as I mentioned to you, once you create a SOM, okay, and the buyer intent, what is very important for you is to look at your customer journey map, because the whole idea is how is the conversion rate. Now, let me share with you with a classic example. Certain conversion rates are very fast, even in B2B or B2C also, it's very fast sometimes. But sometimes the conversion rate can go into months, 3 months, 6 months, right? Because especially when you are trying to create a market, it will take a longer period, right? Then what happens is the number of people you have to look at it is becomes higher because your conversion rate is low. Your conversion rate is low, right? So then it becomes a challenge for you to ensure that you have to give solutions to go to a larger population, because you have to ensure that your cash flows are coming in. It will impact your working capital. I do know one of the startups, we are finding it difficult because the cycle is becoming 6 months to 9 months, and they're buying. It's not that they're losing any orders, but the cycle time is more because they have to create a market for themselves. So then the solution I said is, look, you have to now have hundreds of customers as your prospects and looking at it and seeing how exactly can you do the conversion rates. Number one. Number two is the overall aspects of SOM, estimate of your data, we need to change because the whole aspect is becoming slower and our cash flows are getting impacted, right? So this is one example where you need to understand your conversion rates. Okay, conversion rates are not necessary only of your conversion. You might be losing the competition. Please bear in mind. So if you are having competition, find out how much are you winning, how much you are losing. So once you have that, you need to find out. So if you are saying the conversion rate is 20%, so you should clearly clear out of 100 prospect, only 20% will buy. And out of that 20%, what has been your typical conversion rates? Means it does it take in every month, once in 2 months? Then you can clearly find out your cash flows as to how it is going to happen. So these are also equally important for you to looking at it. And certain things are seasonality. Now, what do you mean by seasonality? Okay, because this financial year end is in March, right? The government of India has put March as the financial year end. So invariably, what happens is many of especially B2B, the people have a tendency to put a what we call it as a capital expenditure. They put over there as a budget. That capital expenditure has to be used by March 31st because they already planned. So invariably, you'll find that January, February, March business peaks, especially when the B2B segments are concerned. For B2C, it's very interesting. Depending on Diwali, Ganesh Chaturthi, right? Holi, certain things buy, right? People buy new clothes, right? Certain things are there. So these are seasonality. So you got to keep that in mind, okay? And certain season they don't buy, like Ashad Mas, they don't buy anything, okay? आषाढ़ मास में nobody buys, श्रावण मास में सब लोग खरीदते हैं because वो क्या है, फेस्टिवल है, ठीक है? वो you have all कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी है, फिर गणेश चतुर्थी है, everybody wants to buy new clothes, ठीक है? वो आषाढ़ के टाइम पे कोई नहीं खरीदेगा. Then again दिवाली, दसरा आएगा, दिवाली आएगा, everybody will buy. Then it will be slightly quiet till Holi comes, right? So we know that, right? How the clothes and other things are buying, right? Same thing is there as far as B2C is concerned, and B2B also the same. Can you go to the next slide, sir? Okay, this is I don't want to mention the company. This is a live data. Okay, this is I picked up from one of the startup. I am a mentor to that startup, and this is how we have done this activity. They are in climate tech. Okay, I don't want to mention the name. I can't, unfortunately. So this is a climate tech firm, and we found out that addressable market is about $60 billion. Okay, 10% market share, all those things we did. Then we found that when we did that, the TAM, we found that there is something called as philanthropy also is quite huge. Philanthropy is where people are using in a more of an NGO activity. And then there is also data and business analytics, which is bigger. But in climate tech also is big because the market, look at it, 147.5 billion. But the CAGR is the highest, 24.2%. Everybody is talking about climate tech. So we are very happy as a startup that there is an opportunity for us. We can grow very, very rapidly till 2030. We are now what, 2023. They have already acquired about 27 customers currently. So they are in a good position. They know that. Okay. And this is the data which they did recently. And I was also very happy looking at this particular data, what we did. So what I'm trying to say is this is a bootstrap company. Okay. We have done that activity. It's a B2B company. And this is what we have done. It's in climate tech. And this is what we have done currently as far as market sizing and addressable market is concerned. Move to the next slide, sir. Now, as I told you, sir, sometime back, there are other people also doing it. This is something which I took it up from NASSCOM's data, and NASSCOM in sense has taken data from McKinsey and various other data, which shows that how the sustainability market, because in sustainable market, it's growing very fast, right? Which I told you, climate tech is there and other companies are there. Okay. There are lots of startups which are there suddenly now in climate tech. But what we are now looking at it, we wanted to see which segment is growing fast. So many verticals are there. Energy hai, construction hai, transport hai, agriculture hai, water hai, healthcare hai, telecom, so many things, right? So this data was already available for us, luckily, because others are doing it. So this other source, please look at it. Don't ever hesitate. Please keep your eyes and ears open and look at mentors, okay, who will help you in this endeavor, who can help you to understand, how to look at various data, from where you can get the data. And it's what I helped them, this particular company, and we were in a position to know which are the segments you are looking at it. Incidentally, the company which I am doing, they are looking at construction, which they believe is very, very big, and they're looking at the services firm, this is ITITS, which they believe is very, very big. And they are also into the area of what I call it as, though it's not very big, but they are looking at the area of healthcare and pharma because they already have clients in that one. So that is the segments they are looking at it currently. Later on, they plan to get into agriculture and so on and so forth. This is just to give you an idea how one looks at addressable market, how looks at SAM and so on. Okay. Next slide, sir. So, okay, so now you have done all this activity. आपने किया है वो TAM किया, SAM किया, SOM किया, so what? Next what? Okay. What is now important is for you is what is important is as a CEO, as a founder of that, you have to now talk to your employees first. I believe in that. First, talk to your employees, telling him, देखिए, ये market size है. Okay, this is the kind of market we are looking at. This is the product. This is a value proposition. This is the kind of target customers we have, and this is the time for us to look at it. Okay, and we have to spend time and energy to understand that particular market, whatever it is, B2B or B2C. Next, this is the kind of revenue I can get, and these are the number of people I require for first year, second year, right? Can I go here? Then I require so many people. What does it cost for you to get into that market? Because you'll have to hire people, right? Resources. Or even if you don't want to do directly with your partners, then you also need to have partners, right? You'll have to do revenue sharing. You have to train them up. So there is this element of it to be added, right? And then is the market good for you? Like I told you, climate tech, simply small, but it's big in terms of revenue. In the overall pie, looks like others, big data, all these things are very big. But you look at the data, it's growing 24 CAGR, and something like 145 billion is a big number. Okay, so it's good for starting. So like that, you need to understand whether it's of interest to you and whether it's still growing. Very important. Whether the market is still growing. Very, very important to see whether, because you might come out with a product which may not have any growth further because technology change and various other users profile changes and they don't want to buy that product, then you are in trouble. So you need to know whether there is a growth for you at least for the next 3 to 5 years horizon. 10 years, some people say, but I would like to look at 3 to 5 years horizon or 7 years maximum. You should have potential for it to grow. Very, very important. Then it will help you to answer these questions, helps you to answer the question within your own company as well as outside. When your VCs or your investors ask for it, you are in a position to clearly articulate. आप लोग बोल सकते हैं, देखिए सर इतना बड़ा मार्केट है, हम लोग इधर हैं, द नेक्स्ट 3 years हम इधर जा सकते हैं, नेक्स्ट 5 years we can go that, this is the kind of market share I can get. They will be interested, and you can clearly say this is where I'm planning series A, this is where I'm planning series B, and this is where I will looking at it as series C if you want to. Or you can say the next 18 months I will break even. So you should be very clear as to how your path is going to go, right? Okay, so the next slide. So we have come to the end of it. If there are any questions here, I would like to take it right now. I'll be glad to take any questions which anyone of you are there in the call. You can put it up over there. I'll be able to answer those questions. I'll try my best to answer those questions.
Sure, sir. It was a very insightful session for not only entrepreneurs but for me and my team also. And I have a one question, maybe that will be in the mind of the entrepreneurs and startups of Spark Incubation Center, is that the most common mistakes and challenges one faced while calculating this market size, and how can they avoid it? Most common mistakes and challenges.
Sir,
Anything you want to address?
yeah, the most common mistakes and challenges one gets it typically looking at that they are the best. This competition is nothing. They underestimate competition. Okay, they think that entire market is theirs. That is the almost like telling that entire time is theirs. That's the worst thing. Majority of the people do that mistake, telling that I have the best product. Okay, even without understanding the customer, they become more internally focused, especially the tech-based firms. I have seen clearly they're so very focused around coming out with a great technology without understanding the users. They come out with technology. Okay, so that's one aspect. There's a market, everything, but they don't understand whether the user are willing to accept it. Okay, so that's one aspect which is there. Second, as I told you, they don't bother about competition. So that's the second aspect. Third aspect, which is very equally important, which I said we did a mistake. We assumed and presumed that everybody is going to buy that particular fashion. It's not necessary. Which I gave you an example, right? In Bomasandra, what we faced, right? Bomasandra is a cluster of industrial MSMEs, okay, where they were actually working together. There's incidentally an association called as Bomasandra Industrial Association, right? So we never could guess that there could be a market over there where the association is getting involved in putting up a solutions for all their customers. Are you getting me? So those are some aspects where you have not done enough work at the grassroots level. One has to be in the trenches, I always believe. A startup founder cannot be only sitting in the office or in his premises and working. He has to go to the field, and the first sale has to be done by the CEO himself. Meet the customers and do it. Only then it will succeed. Now, I have also observed that the CEOs have a tendency that they don't understand the customers because they are very good in technology, everything. I have to say hats off, but they don't understand what the customers want. So I always tell them, you go and sell, you go and sell. That is, then you will understand it better. So that's my, these are the 3 or 4 things which I clearly see it happening, sir. And I've seen it happening, and I also did that mistake once, so I'm giving you a picture on that.
Sure, sir. While I also work with startup, and I also face the challenges, and one of the most important challenge while I face for calculating the TAM SOM or this market size is to differentiate or extract the market size from their competitive startups. That's the most challenge I face, and you can add me some point that I asked to start a funder to do some kinds of surveys, either physically or online, to improve the execution process available to their competitive markets.
Correct, sir.
What I
I would
used to
agree.
suggest.
Absolutely. Nothing like Nothing like user. The customer is the king. Always bear that in mind, right? So whatever product you give, the customers don't accept it, it's useless. So it lies waste. So always keep customer as the focus, and whatever you want to do, you have to keep that in mind and then go about it. You are then successful. Otherwise, it becomes a failure.
So I think the session is closed and no more questions from the uh, audience. And again, sir, I want to let you know that this session is one of the most knowledgeable and insightful session for me and whole Spark Incubation Center. I hope not only startups but my team also learned a very knowledgeable topics from you, and we as in Spark Incubation Center uh, felt heartfelt gratitude for your valuable time, and we also look forward to some more insightful session like this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar. It was indeed an honor. I would say that I hope we'll find more and more unicorns coming in from Madhya Pradesh, and I do know that you people are doing some amazing job. It is growing. I clearly see data showing that Madhya Pradesh, especially Indore and Bhopal, growing shortly. I'm sure Gwalior also will grow. The spirit of entrepreneurship is very high there, and with such a great support from Spark, I'm sure you'll find many more entrepreneurs coming up in this belt. So thank you and namaskar, sir. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once.
Thank you.